All right, man. I seen this come across my timeline, so I'll make this a bonus video for Sunday. I put 3 up instead of 2. So here we go right here. So brother Trey Murphy is expected to be traded within the next 3 weeks per Bill Simmons. So let me see when the 2026 NBA draft is. Let's see. So it is June 24th. So that put us right around there. So he should be traded within the draft. Joe Dumars has been very vocal about not wanting to move on from Zion. I feel like that's insanity, but I understand the insanity because of how good he can be. But also looking at Zion dealing with the injuries and not wanting to be in New Orleans, you don't even see no growth from his jump shot at all. People talking about he's the one player that's eluded not being able to shoot a jump shot because all the other stuff going around him. You know what I mean? So that's the wild thing about it. But in general, hellified player, Trey Murphy. It's a good fit for the Pistons. Honestly, the cost and asset saving would be trying to move up for Yaxel Lindenberg. But guess what? That's not a guarantee. If you can guarantee you can move for Trey Murphy, you move for Trey Murphy. It sounds like a couple players and 3 first-round picks might be the going rate. But then you go out there and you seeing, who else. You going out there seeing who else that you can snag. That's who you trying to see who you can snag at that point. So, you say, okay, let me see what we can do for, what would it take to move up to get Lindenberg? And really, when you talking about getting, Yaxel Lindenberg, it's just a guesstimation. We've seen other people reach for players that good, even if they are older. So, you can sit there and wait, and maybe Trey Murphy isn't traded by the time you can get the Axel Lindenberg deal. And if you can't get it, you get him. Then you see how much it costs to get a guy like Lauri Markkanen. Then you got to think about, guess what? Are we going to keep Tobias Harris? We going to keep Jalen Duren? It's a lot that go into this. So you make a list of what you need to target. Regardless, I think Trey Murphy's a good fit. But guess what? If you trade assets and you lose Jalen Duren, okay, what are we gonna do at the center position? What's gonna be the pivot there? So a lot of this got to move pretty fast, to be honest with you, because if you can get Trey Murphy, then that kind of hand strapped you to probably, if you don't have a pivot to fill Jalen Duren, that strap you there. Now, if your plan is to get Trey Murphy and then sign and trade Jalen Duren and then fill, so I don't know how they view the team. But one thing, Trey Murphy is a perfect fit next to Duren and next to Asar Thompson. Then you ask, how can I upgrade next to Cade Cunningham? Somebody that can shoot and get a bucket and handle the ball a little bit. If you can make that answer, cool. And I think if you can fill the 4 position, however that's going to be, Yaxel Lindenberg, Lauri Markkanen, somebody else, or Bobby Portis, and you can put a guard next to K, whether it's Norman Powell, Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, whether it's Kyrie Irving, somewhere amongst that. If you can do that, then, situations become a lot easier. Then I can go find, a stretch 5. I can go get a Klay Thompson. But you feel a way that you can get a Lively or a Gafford that can come in and replace Jalen Duren. You can go pay a Kristaps Porzingis to help Isaiah Stewart and Paul Reed. So it's a lot of things you do. I don't know how much you want to change it, but honestly, if this is your top pick, you got an owner that's willing to spend the money, you get them. And even if you don't upgrade nothing else for this team, that's a huge upgrade right there. That's a huge upgrade. You got somebody that can score. You got somebody that the defense get better, the shooting get better, the scoring get better at that position. And in reality, you got cheated, but you need to make it undeniable. And also, we always forget about the possibility of guys developing. A lot of the whole thing about Shat Holmgren. Oh, he laid the egg, and shit happens. These are not the fully developed men yet. You still going through trials and tribulations. Everybody think you a man in your 20s, and man, really the best years of your manhood don't start until 35 is when you in your prime. Just as a man, I'm not speaking as an athlete. An athlete physically, yeah, but figuring life out, him and Duren to get better. Believe it or not, him and Duren to get better. Trey Murphy is not a finished product. So we are expecting these guys to be finished products. They not. They get better. Trey Murphy, if that's the move you make, it's the move you make. But knowing that they have something against you in the NBA, okay, you got to make it undeniable. You got to add a couple more pieces with that. But so we're going to see who all involved. I think a lot of teams going to wait to see what happened with Giannis, but I think the Pistons is in a good position at the 4 position. I think that's the first outside of what they got to do with their own crew. I think they're in a good position, is to strike to get these guys. So Giannis is going to hold up a lot of teams. People going to chase Giannis. People going to call for Zion. But I think really they one of the only few teams that's going to be looking to bag Lauri Markkanen and Trey Murphy. You know what I'm saying? Especially where Trey Murphy and Lauri Markkanen want to go. So I mean, in a good position to keep it a bean. They're in a really, really good position. So, if this your guy, this your guy. Markkanen and what make it more difficult for Markkanen and Trey Murphy is that both of them guys, Danny Ainge is a shrewd trader. And then Joe Dumars got beef with the organization. So, I mean, of course, he going to let some personal feelings get in there. So then you start to look, other, possibilities would be Kevin Durant. But the way stuff been going, Bobby Portis, Jackson Lindenberg, other kid from Michigan, other, bigger kid from Michigan. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I said a guy like Bobby Portis. I don't think, the Cavs would want to do a trade for Evan Mobley. Jeremy Grant, Domantas Sabonis at the 5. More of a 5 there if you get rid of Duren. Ryu Hachimura, it might be a guy that you may look at. So, yeah, I mean, there's some of them guys. Anthony Davis might be a guy that you look at. I wouldn't say that. Maybe Chicago ready to get rid of that Boots guy. That might be a guy that you look at. So you got some options, but I think he leader in the clubhouse right now. Outside of the guys, they got to take care of Asar, Jalen Duren. But even if you take care of those guys, you can still find a way to get him. It's the ideal fit. You lose nothing defensively. You lose nothing with going from him and Tobias now other than some money. And his contract is not bad, but Jackson Lindenberg, you kind of going a potential a little bit. He older, but shoot, jump, defend, rebound. If you strap for cash, you're going to go the Jackson Lindenberg route. But we'll see what happens. Check out Detroit Pistons to our playlist. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate the love, support. Check out Detroit Pistons to our playlist. Hit the link in the description. Say find me everywhere. The link tree, Facebook, Instagram, the whole 9. Peace.